Commodities Limited, so to say, LeadCapital. That's the company that I belong to, and we are actually bringing AFEX Commodities, a representative of AFEX Commodities on board to put us through on, probably have a live session on trading on the platform, and equally telling us, first of all, telling us the opportunities we have on the AFEX, when to invest, the spread, expected appreciation, and general opportunities we have in that space. And so I will be introducing Mr. Kunle Alao, if I'm correct. I'll be introducing him to take up the presentation right away, as he'll be discussing, putting us through on the opportunities we have in the commodity space and how to go about trading on the platform. So over to you, Mr. Kunle.
All right, thank you very much, Henry. Thanks for having me. My name is Kunle, like Henry has introduced me, and I'm happy to join everybody here just to discuss about AFEX commodities as well as investing in commodities itself. So I think it will do us good service just before I start the presentation itself, just to talk about what AFEX is, because I know that AFEX is, some of us don't know about AFEX in the market and some already do know. So AFEX Commodities Exchange itself, it's a private commodities exchange in the country, and it's the first itself. So we've been in existence for the past 6 years in Nigeria, and one of the things that we did, mainly when we just started, is mainly to do a bit of backward integration because we know that there hasn't been that fundamental framework in terms of commodities ecosystem within the country. We've seen different has tried to offer this service, but it didn't work. So for us, we wanted to guarantee the supply within that space. So unlock the farmers that's gonna guarantee the supply, unlock the supply producers, as well as try to build that framework mainly. So by way of that, we have we understand that quality is also important within the commodities ecosystem. So we have warehouses in the country in over 15 states. We have 45 warehouses.
Good afternoon, all. This is LeadCapital host. We just lost Mr. Kunle. Just give us a minute. He's trying to reconnect. In just a minute, Mr. Kunle will be back online to proceed with the presentation. Thank you for your patience.
Hello? Hello?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Nice to have you
apologize
back.
for that. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry?
I said we are okay. Please proceed, Mr. Kunle.
Okay, so I'm very, very sorry. I apologize for the break. So what I was saying is that, so for us as AFEX, our main play mainly has been within the commodity space, is within the agricultural sector, within the agricultural sector. So our goal is to be a multi-commodities exchange company. But for now, we are starting with agriculture because it's easier for to get the sentiment of people within this space, and also to push the education of players within this sector as well. So what we are looking to do is to bridge that gap between the financial ecosystem and the commodities ecosystem by way of giving the investors, the final investors, alternative investment opportunities, so that they can see the opportunities within the commodity space. So I felt like I needed to put that, to start as a preamble before I start my presentation. So during this presentation, I'm going to take us about through understanding the commodity investing. What are the benefits for you as an investor in commodities? Then talk about some of the commodities-backed instruments that we have, as well as the factors that can affect price. And the thing, one of the key things that I need to know is that, like, as much as I said, we've been in the industry for the past 6 years. This year, mainly, we've tried to partner with financial institutions, which LeadCapital, Lead Securities is one of them. And that's why we have the opportunity to be able to push this, to have this discussion today. So most of your dealings on the platform will be by yourself, and as well as routing your trade to Lead Securities on the platform. So what are commodities investing? What are commodity investing? I think we need to talk about what investing is. I'm sure you all are seasoned investors already. So you know it's about an intelligent way of allocating your resources, which are mainly money, but with the goal of getting capital appreciation or generating a profit in the future, because you don't want to keep your funds idle. So basically, looking at that logic, you are also looking applying it into investing in commodities in this space. I know some of us have had other alternative investment knowledge before. So you are used to equities like you do with Lead Securities or fixed income securities. So in this case, you are investing your funds in commodities-backed instruments with the aim of getting capital appreciation, or with the aim of getting profits for your funds that you have invested. So what are the benefits for you? Because we hear about commodities. So why do you need to go into this space in terms of investing? One of the first things for us is that it guarantees you high return, and that's if you invest very, very well. So at the moment in the investment landscape in Nigeria, as we know today, is quite thin. So what the products people are exposed to mainly is equities and fixed income securities, basically. Also, if you do some form of mutual fund, we are still playing within those space of equities and other fixed asset, maybe a bit of real estate investment. But for commodities, they kind of guarantee you high return. If you look at this year, for example, in a pandemic year, commodities are the ones that have been able to guarantee high return, when other investment opportunities have been given close to negative yield or decline in yields. For example, the fixed income securities market, treasury bills, the longest treasury bills are going for as low as 3% as of now in terms of yield. So for commodities, we've seen appreciation in terms of over 103% in terms of commodities. For agricultural commodities example, people that invested in maize this year, they've been able to get at least 103% in capital appreciation. For example, if you even look at in Western countries, this is the first time gold has gone to the all-time high in terms of returns. So commodities, the first benefit for you is that it's giving you high returns. And it's not for you as an investor, you're not just looking about high return, you're looking about the growth of your return as well. So you want to diversify your portfolio to have something that will give you high return if other asset classes are giving you low quality in terms of yield. So you have commodities to shock that, giving you high returns. So the other benefit for you is the edge against inflation. So because the commodities we are trading currently on AFEX are agricultural commodities, and you know that when there is inflation, there is tendency for increase in the price of goods and services, or increase in price of food stuff, for example. So if you are investing in the raw materials that they are using to process those food stuff, so you know that the value of your investment is increasing as inflation is, despite the fact that there's inflation. So you are hedging your investments against inflation that is in the country, which typically would have reduced the value of the wealth that you have already. So in this case, you are hedging it. So companies that use commodities as raw materials for production you can see companies like the Olam, and as we're looking at it with the pronouncement of the president now, you expect that foodstuff will continue increasing because some of these manufacturers or the processors, there will be like the increase in demand for the raw materials that they need, for the produces that they need, because of the scarcity that might be possible in the market due to the fact that they've banned importation for some of these crops, such as maize. So at this moment, they are trading at their all-time high. So people that have taken position in some of these commodities at this point, they are actually smiling to the bank if they are trying to exit the market. So the other thing is also for you to diversify your portfolio. So the idea is that, you know, the old saying where they say that people shouldn't put their eggs in one basket. So it's also good for you that when you are having a downtime in one asset class, you're having a upside in another asset class, which this is where commodities come for you. So it's a perfect tool for you to diversify. I know with Lead Securities, a lot of the investors on this call, they are used to equities. So having commodities in your asset class, in your portfolio, also helps you to kind of like cover for the low return in other areas. So there's some form of correlation in the return with other traditional assets. So another benefit, which is very, very important for you as an investor, and with the guide of Lead Securities as well, is that there's the seasonality and the predictability of these commodities. So we know that these are agro commodities, and you know that there are seasons. So there's the planting season, there's the harvest season. So typically during the harvest season, commodities, the market is washed with these commodities. Like there's a lot of supply market. So at that time, the prices are pretty much at the floor level. So that's the best time for you to buy. So you can actually plan your return. If you enter the market at the time when it's at the floor price, you can tell that when there is scarcity in the market, when the demand is high, then you expect that there will be a rise in the price. At that time, that's the best time for you to get out of the market or you sell. So the idea is that once you know that there's a seasonality and there's a predictability in it, it helps you manage your future expectations of your funds better. So those are the benefits that commodities will give you. They give you high returns. They help you hedge against inflation. And there's another thing that we've not added yet. So if you look at commodities in the past 2 years, for example, in a country in Nigeria, where our exchange rate is yo-yo, for example. So people that have invested their funds, the value of their naira compared to for them to buy things abroad now, it's very, very low. But with commodities that have invested in commodities over the time has shown that they can go head to head with ballooning exchange rates in the country. So it also helps you to hedge against the exchange rate fluctuation, for example, in a country that is specific or dynamic like ours in Nigeria. So those are some of the benefits for you. So knowing the benefits, so what are the products that you can actually think about putting your funds into? So for us at AFEX, like I said earlier, we've partnered with specific financial institutions, which Lead Securities is one of them. So if you are coming on our platform, you're looking to invest in this product, but you're buying through your broker, being Lead Securities. So we have the spot market or the spot contracts. The spot contracts, typically, like I said earlier, we've been in the industry for the past 6 years. So one of the things we've been doing, we've been playing mainly within the physical market, mainly. So we now look at it that how do you encourage retail investors? How do you encourage investors to like participate in this commodity space? So we introduced the spot market. So the spot market is the securitized version of the physical market. So in this case, you have commodities stored in warehouses, when in accredited warehouses of AFEX, and you are trading instruments, you are trading contracts to buy at the back of those commodities that has been stored in the warehouse. The real reason why you are trading is not because you want a physical delivery of those commodities, but because you are trading for capital appreciation. So that is what I was explaining, that if you enter at the time when the price is at very, very low, you are participating in the spot market at the time when the price is low, then you can actually come out and when the price is at the highest point. So I'm going to show some things in the just from form of scenarios at the end of the presentation that could help kind of like guide you with the help of your broker as well, that can give you sufficient kind of information about when to buy and when to sell as well. So we look at the forwards transaction. So the forwards that we've been trading on the platform at the moment are like fixed income securities, but they are deliverable forwards. So they are like instruments that are backed by forwards itself. So forwards being like, let's say a processor, a rice miller, for example, says that he wants to take advantage of the fact that he knows that in future, when during the production, when there will be scarcity in price of these commodities, he wants to aggregate at this point. Though he doesn't need the commodities at this point, but he wants to aggregate when the prices are low, so that he's going to cover just to edge against the price movements in future. So at that point, they will aggregate those commodities and they will need financing. So at this point, AFEX will create fixed income securities like documents in which you can actually invest in as an investor on the platform. So for those ones, we look at them as they can actually be local aggregation of foreign aggregation. We've done about 3 tranches of these forward transactions this year, and they were all fully subscribed on the exchange or on the platform. So they were all fully. The first one was a 120 million naira export transaction, in which the return for you is going to be in dollars because it's an export transaction. So the return is going to be in dollars for the investor. So, and it was paid in 3 tranches. The coupon was paid in 3 tranches. That has fully matured. We have another one that was issued last month. That was a $1 billion cocoa and ginger export as well, which was fully subscribed on the platform. So people are actually taking positions, are taking advantage of these instruments in the markets where there is low yield everywhere. So we did the paddy rice transaction as well, which was annualized 15%. They were also forward transaction and they were aggregation. So for the paddy rice, it was a local aggregation, but for ginger, because these are export products, so they were export transaction as well. But the incentive for the people that invested was that they got dollar return, and in which, if you look at it at this point, they've actually made they've made like sufficient gain in terms of what the value would have been if they had invested, if they had gotten naira return. So we have the exchange traded commodities. So the exchange traded commodities is like the ETFs in the equity market, in which the investor in this case is investing in a basket of commodities rather than in the spots where you are investing in just one single commodity. So if you are doing maize, but in the ETC, you are trying to buy a basket that includes commodities that maize, there could be maize, sorghum, paddy rice, for example, in which there will be an underlying index price that tracks the price of each of them. So in that case, you're buying like a basket of you're investing in a basket of those commodities rather than a single portion in the spot market. So you also have the asset-backed commercial papers itself. So the asset-backed commercial papers are like commercial issuance, but in this case, you are it's a way of unlocking capital for processors or manufacturing companies. So this is also treated as a fixed income securities, but it's not like the typical commercial paper whereby it's clean. So in this case, the securities backing it or the credit enhancement is commodities that will be stored in AFEX accredited warehouses. I just won't go deep into this one. So for the ETC and the asset commercial papers, they have not started trading on the platform yet. But for the spots, you have them trading at every point in the market right now. So I'm going to do a demo at the end of this presentation just to see how you can buy and you can raise a sell order on the platform. So these are just some of our products. I talked about the spots, which I said is a direct sales and purchase of commodities. In this case, you're buying securitized version of what they do on the physical. And your goal in this case is for capital gain and portfolio diversification. So what are the assets that we actually trade within this on the platform? We have the maize, we have soybean, we have sorghum, paddy rice, cocoa just started. and we have Ginger as well. So for you as an investor, you're looking at the settlement to be cash because you don't want physical delivery of those commodities. So you have the ETC. I said it earlier, it's a pooling of asset of tradable units of different commodities in a basket. So what are the, okay, so for the spot market, the risk for you is a price risk. But with your broker with you, they can advise you how to mitigate those price risks. And I said, one of the things I said at the beginning is the predictability and the seasonality of this product. If you come in at a very, very good time, you can actually use, you can actually know the best time for you to go out, because you know that if there is, if in the time of harvest, there's a glut in the market. So that's the best time for you to go in. When there is a planting season, then you start seeing that there is a bit of scarcity in the market. So there's high demand for these commodities. You can exit at that time. So you can mitigate those price risks if you come out at a very, very good time. So for ETCs, the price risk and the model risk are also the risk attributable to this. But for the benefit for you, like I said, it's you getting capital gain and portfolio diversification because you're investing in a different asset class itself. So the input notes, it's a product that I didn't talk about when I was showing the product overlay. Yeah. So this one is a fixed income instrument as well. Yes. But in this case, you are investing directly for the on-lending financing of farmers for them to buy input so that they'll be able to invest, so that they'll be able to plant during the planting season to improve their productivity. And which, if you and I can agree, this is the best time for them to do. This is the best time. If the president is saying they want people to go into agriculture, but you know that there is a productivity issue in the country, within this space as well. So that is the reason why AFEX have actually kind of like designed these products that to help those farmers, because there is that financing, the financing need for them as well. So to help them get access to inputs that will help them improve their productivity. So if like last year they could deliver 2 bags of maize. So with these inputs, for them getting access to improved fertilizers, improved crop protective items, they'll be able to kind of like get 5 bags, for example, at the end of the planting season. So the typical risk in this case will be default risk, which will actually be mitigated by AFEX themselves and a nicer cover on the facility, on the instrument. There's a production risk that is attributable to this, but in designing the product, we've encouraged all the farmers. It's not just encourage, it's actually it's a condition precedent for them to take those inputs, that they must take up yield insurance. So if they take up yield insurance, anything that could affect the production at the end of the planting, the yield insurance is going to cover it. So that means it helps them meet up the quota that they need to repay their loans. So for you as well, as an investor, what is the benefit for you? Diversifying your portfolio, you are also investing as part of an impact into the lives of these farmers that we expect to help us avert food crisis that is supposedly going to happen in future. If we expect that local demand is supposed to, the supply in local supply is supposed to cover for local demand. So you are also impacting, it's like a form of impact investment on you. And because I said it's a fixed income security, so for us, we do it like it has a fixed return. Typically, what we've done this year, we did the input notes that was issued earlier in May. So it's within brand prices. So if you are doing above 300 million, I'm sure this one will be taken off by your broker. Then your broker will not cross-sell to you guys. So if you are doing above like 300 million or 100 million, you're looking at about 16% upwards. That's what the rate is going for, 16% upwards for you as an investor. So I've talked about the forward contracts as well. So all these risks that are associated with all these transactions are very, 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 very well mitigated on the platform. For the counterparty risk, there's a binding forward contract between AFEX and the counterparty itself. That's the party that is taking delivery of those commodities. So if at any time, if there's any risk for default, AFEX is going to cover it, or the contract will be taken up. So asset-backed commercial paper, I've talked about it, that is tradable assets designed to unlock financing for the manufacturers. For you as an investor, you're just looking to purchase units of those instruments for you as for commodities. So I talked about the fact that we have spot contracts. I think it's best for me to just go straight to the demo of these transactions because I've talked about them. So for the risks that are associated with commodity investing, the first thing is the price risk. The risk that you can lose on when you take position due to adverse movements in price. So that's the reason why you have your brokers to advise you when to hold and when to sell. And because of the predictability and the seasonality of commodities itself, agricultural commodities, I think that price risk is very, very, very minimal for you. Production risk, which applies to some of the instruments that I said we might issue on the market, on the exchange, like the input finance. I've talked about the fact that we tell the farmers to take out yield insurance. So with the yield insurance, it's a condition precedent to them collecting the input facility. So with that, it minimizes it to the lowest minimum. The political risk that might be attributed to this could be due to, let's say, government policies. For example, that if those government policies kind of like adversely affect the commodity space, it might affect you as well. So we're looking at fertilizer subsidy or chemical use or waste disposal. So, but on the other hand, for you as an investor, if we look at some form of government policies, like when the government said there is ban on importation of rice, for example, or ban on importation of maize. These factors, this policy actually puts much more pressure on the demand itself, which actually allowed for there to be increase in price. So for people that have actually invested within those space, they can actually exit when the price is very, very high. So it actually favors you. So, but the idea is that your broker and as well as AFEX, putting sufficient information on the platform at every point in time helps you make a good investment decision at every point in time. So what are the things that you need to look at in terms of making investment decision? What are the things you need to look at? Like I said, it's a demand and supply thing. So the factors, market forces actually affect it because you look at the seasonality with it. For agricultural commodities, they are affected by disposable income. So typically, that will be as an investor. If you have more money, you typically want to invest more so that you plan for raining days and get more potential capital appreciation in future. Then increasing population means that there will be more demand for food, because that means there's more demand for food. Then that means there's the supply and in the market, there will be more demand and the prices tend to go up. Do you understand? When there is increasing population, people need to feed. Then consumer taste. This consumer taste and preference can actually be related to specific commodities. So Nigeria, we actually have staples. For example, you have staples in terms of rice. So you expect that there will be increase in demand for paddy rice. The rice millers are always needing to produce. So paddy rice, for example, paddy rice is the crude, that's like the first stage of rice before we eat it. So when they process it, it becomes the rice that everybody can eat. So paddy rice is the raw version of that rice before the millers actually process them there. So you expect commodities like the paddy rice or maize that consumers have preference for their end produce, to get more demand in the market. The environmental factors and cultural factors as well. So for places where you expect that, like I said, cultural factors, in a way, our taste in rice, for Sunday rice, or the demand for the fact that it's a major staple in Nigeria has made it more cultural for us to eat more rice in the country. So you expect that to influence the demand for it. So for the supply, we look at quality of input. So if there is poor quality of input, which is what we are looking at as AFEX to improve the inputs in the market, to improve productivity. So if you improve productivity, you are guaranteeing more supply in the market. So if they have poor quality of input, which has always been the case for major smallholder farmers in the country, you expect that there will be some level of it will affect the level of supply in a way. You're looking at weather as well. If there is an extended rain, you're looking at it to affect the yield that the farmers will produce. So that's also why we look at the production risk and why you tell them to take yield insurance to cover for some of those things. You're looking at production level of some of these manufacturing companies or some of the farmers as well. You're looking at the action of speculators. The action of speculators that we heard some of these days for for now, they are thinking of releasing some of those commodities in the future to be able to gain some position in terms of price movement. So environmental factors, the weather, climate, the natural disaster, the population growth, those are things that can also you need to consider before you make your own investment decision. So we look at making an investment decision. So more like portfolio management for you. The idea is that if you're investing in commodities, you are supposed to invest in, so you also create a portfolio of investment within the commodity space as well. So if you, the investment horizon typically will be 270 days, and you get the help of your broker. In this case, the help of your broker cannot be understated on this place as well. They are supposed to advise you and tell you the best time for you to do your transaction. So you look at investment horizon for 270 days, but nobody is tying you to those. So the recommended entry is November, January, because that is when harvest is happening. The moment harvest have started, so, but this is not the core period of harvest. So they've started harvesting some of these crops for maize, for some of them. So they've started harvesting, but by November, you see a glut in the market because that's the harvest season. So that's the best time for you to enter. You see prices go at they fall at the floor level. So the recommended exit will be May, July, August, September sometime. September. So for now, if you look at the price of maize, like I said, some commodities are trading at their all-time high price. So they've been like 103 to 120% return. So for now, maize is going at an all-time high, which we expect the market to do a reset when there is an harvest. So there will be like a reset because there's glut. It's gonna change, the price will change at that point. So we're looking at you, if you're doing that, if you have below 5 million as an investor, you should do maize 50%, then soybean 20%, 20%, spread your investments across other 25% of them across other assets. Then that's, if you have above 5 million and you have a moderate risk tolerance, you don't want to push because of the price risk that is there. We're looking at you doing at 40% commodities backed fixed income instrument, then 40% maize because of the capital appreciation that we talk about it, and 20% in other commodities, other contracts as well. If you are doing above 5 million and you have a conservative, if you're conservative that you don't want to take much risk, you do 60% because on fixed income backed commodity instrument, because you know those ones are fixed return, right? You don't want to predict what could happen. Maybe there will be some weather that can affect supply and that could affect your price movement. So you want to just pitch your tent with something that will guarantee you fixed return. You do 60%, you do 30% in maize, then 10% in soybean, for example. Then above 5 million and you're aggressive. So you want to push for the main sports contracts. That's why if you look at it, 70% right there, maize another contract, then 30% for fixed income. So we introduced our platform earlier this year, called COMEX, which will be like a trading window for investors and as well as capital market players to be able to plug in and invest in commodity space. And as of now, we have at least over 30,000 users on the platform in terms of retail investors. And we have over 15 capital market players that have been trying to expose this thing to their investors as well. So you have alternative investment opportunities rather than sticking to the traditional asset class that you know. So you have Lead Securities as a member of the exchange, as a broker dealer as well. So I'm just showing this. I'll go to a live demo because we don't know if we have network, if we're lucky about network. So let me just try and just log in. So I show you a live demo. Sorry, can you still see my screen?
Yes, we can.
So I'm just going to a live demo to show you how to buy and to sell on the platform. So typically for you to buy and sell on the platform, all your trades will be routed through your broker, Lead Securities in this case. So for you to trade on the platform, you need to join their Lead Securities have a community so that you will be in touch in terms of kind of like advice, investment advice. So you join Lead Securities community on the platform so that you'll be able to trade through them on the platform. So I'm trying to log in. I'm sorry for the network because it just looks slow. trying to log in to show you more like a live demo of you buying and selling on the platform. While this comes up, let me just show you what are the basic things you need. So for you as a retail investor, the first thing you need is to fund your wallet. Once you fund your wallet, because we use a wallet-based system, so you we use a wallet-based system on the platform. You fund your own wallet individually. You have to create an account on COMEX. So you create an account on COMEX, you fund your wallet, you put up your buy order on this, you will see various commodities when I go on the platform. You put your buy order based on whichever one you're looking at buying at this point, and then your order gets matched. So the matching of the order itself, it's actually done, it's done back end. So the way it is matched is based on best price and best time. So the best price, based on the best price that you have quoted, I'm sure when I'm showing you a live demo, it helps. The network is not stereo, it's not good. So it shows you the band price of what you can rate, what you can put as a buy order. It's always a +5 - 5% in terms of how high you can go or how low you can go in terms of an order you can place. So then you receive your contract notes and your asset is credited. It shows your asset position, that your asset is credited. The reverse case happens for the sell. You put up a sell order, it gets matched on the platform, you receive your contract notes. In this case, your asset is not credited, your wallet is credited. So if you want to cash out, you are in need of immediate use of cash, you can cash out from your wallet. They will transfer the funds from your wallet to your bank position, or you also want to reinvest in another commodity. So let me just check again. I'm sorry, the network is not so strong, so I apologize for that. So mainly that's that. I'll share the presentation. These are some like just reading documents or reading materials for you to get acclimatized to the commodity space. Like I said earlier, what we do in AFEX mainly is we started with agricultural commodities because we felt like, well, going into the year, like going to 2021, we are going to push more additional products into the market. We're going to push derivative products into the market. We're going to push gold listing because we signed an MOU with Dubai Gold Exchange to cross-list gold on the platform. So we are trying to kind of like engage investors, help them get comfortable within the commodity space before we push more sophisticated products to them as well. And so with the help of your broker, you will get more information within this ecosystem as the time goes by. I'm sorry, network is not, but I can take questions whilst we wait for network to improve. I can take questions. Hello?
Hello, Mr. Kunle. So
yes,
I will just thank you for the presentation while we wait for the demo session. So I'll just go through a couple of questions we have on the chat tool. So there is this question from one of the participants. Okay, we have Adora, and she's asking a question: what is the minimum amount I can start, and how do I start despite I have no agricultural background?
Okay, so sorry, are you okay? So you're done, right?
No, those are the two questions for just, there are more questions there. So let me just read.
The minimum price, right? The minimum price for them to start with, and how easy for them to start despite the fact that they have no agricultural background. So for commodities, let me start with the first question. The minimum price will be the minimum for each of the units of commodities you want to buy. So it depends on, one of the things we also rely on is that we put sufficient information on the platform in terms of investors' education, like market review, weekly market review, as well as your brokers advising you. So it will be the minimum price for the commodities you want to invest in. So if you want to buy maize now, and maize at the moment is going for about 200 and something thousand, 222,000. So that means for a unit of maize on the platform, you'll be seeing 22,000 or so. So if you want to invest in maize, you invest in at least a minimum of that. So you want to fund your account with, let's say, 23,000 to cover for, let's say, for the fee that can come on board as well. So one thing I also failed to say is that for new people, for new investors on the platform, what we've done is to put a demo version for you as well. So we've credited your demo wallet with about 1 million. So you can actually start just playing on the platform, buy and sell, just to see how the platform works before you can now actually start active trading or active investment. So if this thing comes up, I'm going to show you the demo, because this is like my own demo account for trading. So I have a live demo account, and I have a demo account basically for doing this kind of presentations. So
okay. So
also for the person that doesn't have agricultural knowledge, to be honest, as an individual myself, before I joined AFEX, I didn't have much agricultural knowledge. So that's one of the things AFEX has done in terms of investors' education, so in terms of showing you what you need to know about the qualities of the major qualifications of those agricultural commodities themselves. So that's why I talked about the benefits. I talked about what the price is at the market at every point in time. There's a weekly review of market review for you as an investor, so that you can actually take position. So your broker at every point in time will help you, give you advice of what you need to do. So just think of it as investing in equities as well. You don't really need to know much details about the company the company stock you're buying. You need to know, for example, maybe to drive market sentiment, but for this, all you need to know are the factors that impact market changes. So maybe, for example, the consumer taste, the government pronouncements that could help make price go up or price go down, or the seasonality. That's all you need to know for you. And you don't need to know what volume was planted in Kaduna, for example. But if you are curious enough, you can actually look at those market review updates weekly. They can help you shed more light and break it down. And one of the things we also do is that we do some form of like a crop analysis for each of those commodities. Each of those commodities you have for maize, you have for every year. So we can share those things with you for you to kind of like review them if you want to know more about maize, know about the best time to buy in terms of like the seasonality of them. So you know how many seasons of planting you have in a year, if you want to have those kind of like in-depth knowledge in terms of agriculture.
Okay, so I have another question from Deborah.
Okay.
She asked, how do I know the exact time to sell, and how is this different from NSE? How is this platform different from the Nigerian Stock Exchange?
Okay, so I'll take a stab at the question. The first thing she asked was, how do you know the exact time to buy? So that was why I did that. If you remember the slide I shared with this slide, I talked about I talked about the best time, the recommended entry time and the recommended exit time. So for this, because of agricultural commodities, there's a predictability and the seasonality to it. So the truth is, it's just like market forces, demand and supply. When there is increased commodities in the market, when there's a glut, there's a tendency for there to be like low, the prices are at the floor level. That's the best time for you to buy. That's why we recommend you to go into this, to buy at November to January, because those time the prices are at their lowest level. But when the commodities start getting scarce in the market, when there is higher demand in the market, more demand than supply in the market, there's some form of scarcity, then you might actually you don't need to buy then. That's the best time for you to exit, because then you expect the prices to be very, 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 very high, because those guys are using these commodities to process their goods, services, their produce, like the cereal companies, the feed millers, and all those. Those are the type of
okay.
So that's the best time to buy. Sorry, did I get the other question was about the platform?
So let me just take that and two other questions. So how is AFEX platform different from the Nigerian Stock Exchange, and is AFEX regulated by SEC? So just to take these two questions in a bit.
I'm very, very sorry. I didn't say that at the beginning, which is I'm very sorry. That's nasty of me. But AFEX is regulated by SEC, yes. So whatever we do, we do according to SEC's regulation. So we are very, very well regulated by SEC before we came into the markets to push some of these commodities-based financial instruments to you. Yes, we are regulated by SEC. And also the platform, how robust the platform is. Sorry, oh God. The platform is quite robust, as robust as the NSC platform. Maybe not like giving you all the information, but the basic information you need to be able to make investment decisions, yeah, they are there. And we are also working on the platform at every point in time. Like I said, we created this platform January this year, and at the moment we have over 30,000 retail users in terms of retail users. So we're also working on improving the platform at every point in time based on market feedbacks as well. But for now, the platform is very, 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 very robust for you to use. You have information to be able to make, there's a general market interaction there. You can see the market view. Where I wish this thing can just come up so I can show you how it looks. So there's a general market view there where you can see the markets, what is currently running in terms of market price of different commodities. You have your wallets, you have different communities as well. So we also try to use a community-based feature as well. So to kind of like make your brokers closer to your investors. So it gives them this immediate engagement with their investors. So they can share information with you at every point in time as quick as possible. So yeah, so it's as robust as the NSC platform, but the NSC has been in existence for over 20 years, I think. So you cannot necessarily compare. There are some things, fundamental things that are still coming up, but the main things that you need to be able to make investment decision, like the price history, those things are also all on the platform for you to.
Okay. So in 5 minutes, can you just take these two questions? So Mr. Samson Ajayi also asked, do I need ComEx platform if I'm already operating through LeadCapital? Like if I'm a client of Lead Security and I use their LeadTrader trading application, do I still need to register, or do I still need to log on to ComEx to execute my trade? Then take this second question with it. The Mr. Adebayo Olufemi asks, how are you regulated, right? I think that has been answered. Now, sir, how do you manage liquidity? If you have several people wanting to sell, do you provide leverage for trading? And I think that's like a double question. So the first one is about the platform. If they are already a client of Lead Security, do they still need to log on to ComEx to execute their trade? Then the second, as regards liquidity, how is liquidity being managed? Then leverage in terms of trading. So just take those two questions in 5 minutes.
Okay, so I'll just start with the first question. So for now, like I said, we just pushed this. This is the product we just pushed to the market this year. So for now, you have to log on. And I think in the next 1 month, it shouldn't be that long. For now, you have to use the ComEx to actually trade, but you will still be under Lead Securities community. So you still get their guidance in terms of market investment advice. But for now, you can't go straight directly to your lead trader. So one of the things we've been engaging Lead Securities about, which we are currently working on, is to kind of like do some form of integration whereby you wouldn't need to come on ComEx. You'll be able to do your trades via your lead trader. Once you go on lead trader, there's an integration that has been done, concluded back end, for you to see commodities, products. This is the products that you are exposed to on ComEx, on lead trader as well. So we apologize, that hasn't been concluded at the moment. But so for now, at least for the next 1 month, we are in constant engagement with the software provider that's going to enable that. So there's a lot of active work at the back end being done. But for now, yes, you have to go on ComEx. And the other question about liquidity is something, so there's been improved, improved activity on the platform. So the platform is not so deep at the moment, but I feel like at every point in time, there's always an available market to take up your order. So just there's always an available market to take up your order. at this point, there will be a matching price. There's an available matching. That's if at least if you place your order within viable market price, not something that is ridiculous that cannot be matched in the market. So for now, yes, there's active trading on the platform.
Okay. So what about the leverage? Okay, the leverage. That is there any leverage as regards trading based on information and access?
So I didn't get that.
Do you provide any leverage for trading?
So leverage, like kind of like do you mean kind of like credit for people to be able to trade?
Exactly, exactly.
At the moment, no. But those are discussions we can look into the future, but not at the moment. Sorry.
Okay. So Mr. Francis is asking, how secure is the platform, and how secure is this platform? I mean, compared to the Nigerian Stock Exchange and all the other security that have been put in place, how secure is the AFEX platform?
Okay, so the platform is quite secure, very secure. So I don't want to sound like give a corny answer, just saying the platform is quite secure, because one of the things we also do is, before we kind of, like I said it earlier, we are regulated by SEC, so we can't push any of these things, even push our platform out, because SEC is looking out for investors' interest, basically. So we wouldn't do that if SEC has not given us the go ahead, or more like a pass that you can go ahead and sell this thing. So the platform is quite very secure. So security on the platform is something that we take very seriously. And yes, the platform is, like I said, it's quite secure. We are regulated by SEC to be able to do this. And I hope that answers your question. Okay,
so I think we're trying to, we have just 5 minutes. We still have a lot of questions, but I'll just take this long one for Mr. Shegun. He said, given the commodity seasonality, right, is known as the stockbroker, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so the core question is this. He wants to know what's the best entering time when over 30,000 users are already enrolled. What is the gain for those just going 10 months down the line?
Sorry, okay.
I want to summarize the question for you, so I don't have to read everything, right? Now, so over time, you find out that, yes, the liquidity in the platform grows. So when you have like over 30,000 users, right? So down the line, what is the gain? What is the benefit? How would AFEX still be there? Will it still stand if I start trading now in 10 months time? I mean, would AFEX still be available to accommodate these trades, or like others, some that have come and gone with that? I mean, what is the what is the assurance that in the next 10 months, 5 years down the line, AFEX will still be there as an exchange?
Okay, that's a good question, actually. So before I started this presentation, I gave a preamble about the fact that before we even came into issuing financial instruments, the first thing we did, we know very well that there's been some attempts to go into commodities within Nigeria. So what we did first is that backward integration. So for us to be able to guarantee the supply of those commodities that are being traded on the exchange, we've done those integrations. We've been in existence for the past 6 years. So the fact I said we put out our platform January doesn't mean like, and if you look at some of the transactions we've also done in terms within even the fixed income security, we've done issued in excess of 3.3 billion in total for instruments. That's issuance of a financial instruments that we've done, commodities backed in financial instruments, just to show that there is kind of like capacity for the exchange itself. Do you understand? Then the other thing is that for the fact that we've been around for 6 years, we've been able to master what is necessary in this industry. We've been doing physical trade for 6 years before we even pushed to kind of issuing financial instruments on the back of those physical trades, of those physical commodities. So yes, we'll be very much aware. And apart from the fact that I'm saying all these things, so the company is also backed by seasoned professionals within this industry as well. So these are things that they've been doing, they've done for 6 years, and I don't think in the next 6 months will be out. And if there's anything at all, the company is actually going to grow bigger. Like I said, we are looking at introducing additional products. We signed MOU with Dubai Gold Exchange, or as well as FMDQ. If we are not going to be around for the long haul, we wouldn't do all those things. So we are putting these bigger plans in place as well to just be around to be able to do those additional products and services as well for investors in the market. So we are in for the long haul, and we've mastered what are the fundamentals that needs this that helps the financial commodities ecosystem to work before we actually push some of these commodities instruments to the markets.
Okay. Hello, can I answer the hello, Kule?
No, you can.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my
Okay.
colleague. This is my colleague.
Good afternoon, everyone. And I just want to add to the response to what Olakunle has said. My name is Oluwafunto Olashemo, the head of market development at AFEX Commodities Exchange. I would like to say that one of the beauty of a commodity exchange is the fact that it is a structured market. The structure of other advanced commodities markets, you would realize that a lot of them, what is being traded by retail investors like you, are the title to the underlying commodity in that market. What that then means is that there's the opportunity to trade several times over the actual commodity that is being produced in that geolocation or in that country. And if you take a look at the South African commodities market, for instance, in each season, they trade about 15 times the actual maize that is being produced, because the retail investor is going into that market for capital gain, right? They are not going in to take the ultimate delivery of the physicals. So within the seasonal cycle, what you would realize is that the title will move from one person to another, and that is what actually creates that liquidity in the market, and that's what creates the sustainability of an exchange. So in terms of the number of people, I would say that 30,000 traders is not even enough for a viable commodity exchange. It has to be larger than that, right? And then the more investors we have on the platform, the better the liquidity, and then the better the volume of title that will be traded on the exchange. I hope that also answer the question to whoever asked that question. Thank you.
Okay. So thank you Funto for that contribution. Okay, and I hope that it has been an interesting time and session understanding an alternative means of investment. We've always asked this question from our client, and a lot of questions from our client most of the time is what else can I do? How can I diversify? How can I sort of balance my portfolio? So you have the equity trading, we have our mutual funds, lead balance fund, we have list fixed income fund, we have in diversifying. Also, we are bringing to the table now is commodities trading, and for the past 1 hour, we have engaged the staff of AFEX Commodity Exchange to explain and give us details about commodity trading. I know there are a couple of questions we couldn't take, and we couldn't also take the practical session. We try as much as possible to keep our webinar not more than 1 hour. 1 hour, because if it gets too long, people get too tired. So we're going to have like a sort of review again. This time is going to be practical session. We're going to have a practical session on the AFEX Commodity Exchange, how to navigate, how to trade, how to exit, and all these details. And that will be coming up soon. So I would appreciate if you can keep glued to your main list. For those that want to start immediately, we've dropped a lot of link on the chat tool. Click on it, register, you have a demo account, and you have a millionaire demo account to actually work with, just to get yourself acquainted with the platform and how it works. So I will advise that you can start that ASAP. We are placing the demo link again on the chat too. You can start and you can register. Join the community for lead security as your broker. We will be there to guide you also if you have any question. We would like to say thank you once again. Thank you for joining. Thank you for your time and effort. We have the LeadTrader mobile app. We have the LeadTrader web and other platforms or channels for you to actually execute your trades seamlessly, and also get connected with us through also our social media channel in case you have any questions or you need clarity on this. For the recorded session and for the recorded session of this webinar and the video, it will be shared to every registered participant for this session. Thank you. Have a great weekend and stay profitable. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.